Okay, I'm back. The first part of the video I installed the CPU, motherboard, RAM, and my power supply right there. I found my fan that goes right here. The thing about when you're putting fans in, they have a back face right here. You want to make sure that that face is on this right here, because if it's like this, sometimes the fan moves. See, that moves out a little bit. You don't want this moving out onto here because it might scar the fan. That happened with my front thing for my fan for my hard drives. Okay, and these here, I'll show them to you. Here are the screws. One of these screws I lost down inside there, and that's why I tore this thing apart. Or it would be up and running, but I'm kind of glad it did, because I took it apart and cleaned it out. It was really, really dirty. This case was so gross. This computer is about 8 years old, and that's 8 years of smoking, dust, and everything. Like I said, I blast it out with air about once every couple months, and it just got really dirty because nicotine sticks to everything and on that. So, and for this, putting this fan in, I'm just going to use the handy dandy trusty little power drill again on here. There's the fans right here. Remember, this back here, this got these little arms that go right here, and needs to go up against the case. It doesn't hurt to have fans inside your case, because they you want as much airflow as possible into that. In this, there's like I said, don't torque it down, because you got to find the right holes where they go. It's kind of easy to go crisscross. You know, actually, whenever you tighten things down, it's always better to do star formations, like on a tire. When you change a tire on your car, you gotta, when you torque down your lug nuts, do it in the star formation so you get even pressure on all the bolts on there, the lug nuts. So I'm sure there's going to be, if I put this on YouTube, I'm sure there's people out here that's calling me an idiot and stuff, but believe me, I might be an idiot, but I do know what I'm doing when it comes to computers. Like I said, I've built thousands of computers, literally thousands of computers. I've learned everything that I know about computers by just doing it. If I screw up, I screw up. Okay, I did find the where this fan here plugs in right here. Whenever you buy a motherboard, you'll get a little book right here, and you're actually going to need this book. Most people will need this book when they're having to connect up the power wires and the light wires and stuff, and this book gives you all the instructions for everything. And I had to look in here for oops, dropped it. Right here, it's where the fans are. It shows the 4 fans right here and where they're located. I found it, and it's right here. I knew it was in that area, general area somewhere. I just couldn't see it because I'm old and blind. But I do need a little more light, so I'm going to open my blinds up just a little bit so I can get some light in here. Anyways, you got a 3-prong plug in for it, and there's a little spot on the top here, right here. I don't know if you can see it. Right there you can see it a little better right here. These 2 things, that's where that's a key. So there's only one way for this plug to go in, and it goes in right here. Watching the video here and putting this in, kind of pain in the butt. Okay, anyways, it goes in right here, and it just plugs right into there. Now I got that fan there. You definitely want to make sure you keep all the wires away from any fan that's going around, because you don't want the fan to be rubbing onto the wires. Okay, now that that's in there, that's in there. Okay, now I'm going to install, I'm going to put all my power plugs in here together. Right here, let's move this thing over here where it's kind of out of the way. I know there's, I have friends out there that they like to get everything plugged in, then they take zip ties and tie it all together to make it look all pretty and all that. I personally don't care if it looks pretty or not, because it just don't care about it. Okay, I've got this right here. These right here are labeled right there and right there. That's for a USB right there. And to find out where you plug those in, you go to your book and it tells you where everything's plugged in at. This book even tells you how to put things together. Okay, tells you here. Okay, this one here says HD audio. So I look at on my book, I have nothing that says HD audio, but I got F audio. That's number 12, and number 12 is right here, which is right here. So this here will plug into right there. Now you also want to be careful when you put these pins in, because right here there's a pin missing, okay? Which means there's a pin missing down here where it goes. You can't really see that from there. Right there. There's a pin right here it's missing. So if you force it in the wrong way, you're going to bend that pin and you can possibly break it and it costs you money. So you got to pay attention to where you put this stuff in. So you always need to pay attention to stuff when you're doing this, when you're putting pins in. Especially if you're working with the IDE connector for hard drives and the cable for the hard drives and stuff. If you only have IDE cables and your FDD drive, that would be for your 3.5-inch floppy. I have one right here. This is a 3.5-inch floppy. It's really old, but I like them because I still have stuff I use on 3.5-inch floppy right there. So I still use it. It's just that, oops, knocked over the thing there. Let's readjust this. There we go. Okay, got that one plugged in. Now this one here says USB. So let's go to the part where it says for USB. Where was that at? Right here. Right here. This tells you where they just all located. Right here. Here it talks about the main pin right here for this plug right here. It tells you what they're supposed to be. Some people get into, see, right here tells you stuff right here. You can't really see it because it's too bright and the camera's not making it. But anyways, you can read that stuff. It tells you how much power is supposed to be going through there and what pin number it is and all that. If you really want to get technical and make sure your power supply is working correctly on all your things, you can just go get yourself an ohm meter and check it out. So let's look up here. Fan, FDD, IDE, SATA, battery, CMOS, USB front, USB F. So it'll be number 16, and number 16 is right there. It's one of these ones right here. So right here. You can't see it. Let me turn this so you can see it. Right here. I'm pushing all my screws all over the place. Okay, you can see it. You got USB here, USB here, USB here, and this is for your USB. They're actually printed down inside there for the USB and all that. And just always remember, when you're doing these plugs, this one here's got a plug on this very corner that's out. Inside here, there's a pin missing in the corner. So you want to make sure you put these correctly onto the pin. So you just take it and you push it down in there. So that is in place. And they're all secure and all that. This here is for a SATA drive for the front. I have a connection for the SATA. I really don't care about it because I don't ever use it. So I don't even hook it up. I'll just put that onto over there for right now. Okay. Now, okay, got all that done. Now I'm gonna install my my drives on here. So, because this is my front cover right here. It's got all these wires right here. I will feed these things through first because it's easier to reach up here when you got a lot of room to do. And I'll just set this aside to when I put in my drives. So I've actually had to replace the power switch on this once. That wasn't no big deal. Took like, it was like, I think that the switch was like $5 at Radio Shack. God, I miss Radio Shack. So anyways, I feed those things in through here, and of course I'm going to look at the book to put these cables in because these are all numbered. Some motherboards have it actually labeled down here. This is labeled down here, but I've noticed on this motherboard it's kind of odd compared to these right here, but I get it. Actually, my speaker, this little speaker that goes beep when my computer turns on, I actually had to move one of the red wire over one slot so that it would actually work on here, and that actually came with the motherboard. Imagine that. Okay, now first thing I put in is going to be my 3.5 inch floppy. They're pretty simple. You know, there's slots for every one of them. You just have to make sure you get it into what slot you want. And the problem with that is you got only certain slots on here. Right here, this got a slot for my 3.5, and then for my 2 DVD drives right there, so I can't put it in that slot, so it just slides into this slot right there. And what you do is you line up the holes right there. You want to make sure the holes line up, and that would be right there. The holes are lined up, so we will take these screws and screw it down, and on the other side I'm going to put more screws in on the other side so it snugs up in place. So right here, I lost the hole there. There it is. I'm sure there is like 10,000 videos or more on the internet about putting stuff together. Whenever I have to do something, I use the internet. If I don't know how to do it, I use the internet. I wish that would have been the case back in the day when growing up, before the internet was here, when you had rotary telephones. Yeah, those were the days. Not very many, not 200 channels on the television or anything like that. So snug that up, snug that up. Now this cable right here, it's different than an IDE cable. There's no missing pins in on here, but there's a missing pin over here. So you need to look at it and say, if you always know, there's always a red line right here. That is the '1 slot, and you need to know which corner is where the '1 slot is from back in the old days of So I know how this goes in, and move the camera up here a little bit. There we go. It goes in this little slot right here, and it just pops in just like so. I already know what it is because, like I said, I've done this multiple times. And unfortunately, it kind of blocks a little air off onto this fan, but I got plenty of air in here because I have a fan here, 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 and I'm going to be putting another fan onto my lid, or onto my cover for this side here, so I get as much airflow in the case as possible, because that's what you need, is you need airflow. These things get hot and you want to keep them as cool as possible. Okay, This is one of my DVD drives right here. Actually, DVD burner. And these things, these drives are so easy to install. Now this has got 4 holes right there that I can actually screw into, but I only use 2 of them, and on each side, but I put 4 of them because, like I said, I like things snug down. I don't like any vibration, any movement, especially when you're burning CDs and DVDs and stuff like that. So you're definitely going to want to not do that. You don't want any movement whatsoever. Like I said, snug them down, don't torque them down, because all you're going to do is cause a lot of damage. Here's another one of my burners. Put it in here. So, these things, there's the slot, goes in. These things are definitely going to be sticking out a little to a certain amount right there, and it lines up with the holes on there. So you're going to want to pay attention to that. You don't want to, this little slot right here, you put a screw in there, it allows movement for right here. See right there, it'll allow a little bit of movement to go into there. I don't use those because I just used to straight ones, and that way I know that that's where it needs to be. And I've been doing this for many years, since, I don't know, I've been working on computers since, I would say, like 91, 92. Back when you'd put something in a computer, you actually had to use jumpers to tell the computer what it had. You had to tell use jumpers to tell the computer what it, how much RAM it's got and all that. You actually had to read a book. Everything came with a book, and you had to read and understand it and all that. Like I said, I've learned all this by trial and error. So I'm going to set this computer up so I can put the screws in onto the other side. This panel right here is going to want to come up because of the cables. So and set it right where it's going to not be. Actually, at this point in time, I can actually just snap this back into place. I'll show that in a minute. Okay. Starting to get low on screws here, which means I'm getting pretty close to getting this thing up and running. Can't wait. I told my brother that I would be getting online tonight and maybe play a little Call of Duty. So you know, what I should be using is my little drill, but you know, sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. So I do not know if I'm going to post this on video. Oh, dropped the screw. That really sucks. That's what got me into this mess in the first place. So I don't know where it went to. Now I have to search for it. Dang it. Oh my goodness. Now, I will find that in a minute. I'll just tip it and shake it because it's on the bottom and find it that way. I'm just going to snap this front cover into place right here.